this is Inisheer, of course. It's the smallest of the three. The islands are very similar, of course, you know, but different in, of course, in ways too, you know. But this is the smallest of the three, Inisheer. You're in the Gaels area then. I'm not sure if that means anything to you. Maybe not. No. A Gaels area. A Gaels So it means that we speak Gaelic as our first language on the island. Yeah. We speak the Irish language, Gaels areas, yeah. So on the island here, you know, we never speak English amongst ourselves, you know. It's always Gaelic, you know, amongst ourselves, all Irish language. And then in the winter months when you don't have visitors on the island, you know, you'll hardly hear a word of English spoken then. It's just all Gaelic then, you know. But the island's name, Inisheer, it literally means East Island.
We're going up around there now.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's our little wavy line, Cody.
Archaeological site on the Aran Islands. It's a well, it's not the Inisheer Route 1 roundabout, I always say to people. If you're lost on the island later on, when you get lost on the island later on, you have your map out where that roundabout was again, you won't find one. There's actually a Bronze Age burial tomb. It's a pre-Christian burial chamber. So it dates to 1500 years BC, you know, so it's important then for that reason, of course. It's evidence that the islands have been inhabited for a long, long time. You know, the site actually was only discovered in the 1880s. You know, and the archaeologists, when they found the remains of cremated bones and graves and artifacts in the mound, it was a surprise to everyone concerned. The islanders weren't aware of its existence. It was covered in sand, you know, for generations. So as far as they were concerned at the time, it was just, you know, another sand mound, you know, from the place, one of many, you know, blown sand off the beach and hidden it away. Yeah, so then, as I say, it turned out to be an important discovery, you know. It gives you an insight. A lot of the island would have been where you have the football pitches now, and on the other side over the road where the campsite is now, and all of that area would have been covered in sand. So for another 100 years after the discovery in the 1880s, the discovery the mound, you know, blown sand off the beach was still a problem. Eventually they got it under control, you know. This is our secondary school here, so it doubles as an Irish language college for the summer months.
Oh, okay.
The kids are over here from the mainland to learn Gaelic on the island. You know, literally hundreds of kids will pass through the place over the course of the summer.
Hey, look what it is, Cody. It's a park.
O'Brien's Castle then up above us here is the most prominent monument on the island. It was built in the 1450s by the O'Brien clan. They were one of the important Irish families, Gaelic families, so they were a royal dynasty. You know, they were direct descendants of the Irish High King, Brian Boru, you know, so they were an important clan. They would have owned the islands, ruled the islands for several centuries. But the British were here as well, of course, you know, and these islands were important to the British, you know, for military reasons. So there's several buildings on the island that the British built here. There's one of our schools, our primary school, was built by the British in the 1800s. There's a signal tower that they built during the Napoleonic Wars in the early 1800s, you know, to keeping tabs on the French Navy, you know, when England and France were at war. They built the lighthouse over here. There's a Coast Guard station as well on the island that they built, you know.
Cody likes his lighthouses, don't you?
Do you? Actually,
yeah.
Very nice, yeah.
Thank you. How many have you been in? Can you remember? Is it 2 we've been inside or is it 3?
Oh, yeah. Oh, good man, yeah.
Yes, we're touring the entire coast.
Oh, lovely.
So this is us now. I think we're in day 13 today, has us over here.
Yeah. Oh, you're on a big adventure, so.
Yes, big adventure, aren't we?
That's good. And there's the primary school here, so the main part of the school.
That would have been your school, Cody, if you lived here.
It was built by the British here in the 1880s, you know. We're still using it, obviously, you know. So it was refurbished then maybe 10 years ago. So it's like a new school now, actually. And new buildings have been added on, new rooms added on, you know.
That's good.
All in Gaelic, or do they teach English?
It's all in Gaelic. I mean, the island kids, they won't have spoken any English until they start school. You know, their first language is the Irish language.
Oh, okay.
So
they learn English at school.
They're taught English as their second language in school. Yeah. So they start school in our system. well, you know, the kids will go to preschool maybe at 2.5 years of age, you know, and then they'll start primary school at maybe 4.5 years of age, you know. You know, they will be learning English, say, in preschool, you know, but up to then they won't have spoken any of it, you know.
Oh, it'll be your health cards. Look, there's an airplane, Cody. Right there.
Yeah, this is our airport here, the Inisheer International, I like to call it, you know. Talk it up a little bit, you know.
Aye,
Why
yeah.
not, you know.
We nearly were going to get a plane, but I'd already arranged with the boat, so...
Yeah, there's one coming in now, so...
Oh yeah, there, up there, Cody.
Ja, you're easy, yeah, to when you got service for father election place, so I'm out of the center, when you will have on the airport and shot. So it's fair that it's for father election, legislative, so get a bit of shade of shaft no, no, bit of shaft of walk no. Yeah.
It's really different from English.
Yeah.
Well, it's an older language than English, so it's not really English
look,
in any
it's going to
way,
land.
you know. Yeah.
Where? It'll land behind that house, or the building. Yeah, house. Where do you see it's going to land? Look.
Yeah, so 7 or 8 minutes, you know, from the mainland over here, same back, you know, so it's just a short spin.
There you go, see? Hey, how about that, Cody? He loves everything to do with transport, so...
Yeah.
The only thing we haven't managed to be on is a plane this trip, isn't that right? We're from up north, you see, so the only thing we haven't been on is a plane. We've been on everything else.
Okay.
That right? You've been on trains, you've been on the monorail train and everything, haven't you?
Is this your first time on a pony aircraft, is it?
It'll be his first time, it's my second. We were on one... I was on one years ago in the Isle of Man.
Okay, oh yeah.
You know, but I don't really remember it, but I love all this.
Yeah.
Well, we did it on a bus.
Because we don't need to go on a bus, we run enough buses at home.
You can jump on a bus any day, I suppose.
Yeah.
We came on a boat. And what's it that black?
The shipwrecks around here, if you hadn't been half asleep on the boat, you'd have seen it.
So it's a very rocky landscape, obviously, you know, so these islands, of course, are an extension of the Burren. The Burren is just east of us from here, the mainland of County Clare. You know, the islands are included and has been part of the Burren National Park, you know, we have the same designated protected status over here as well, you know.
You think we're driving through the Burns tomorrow?
Yeah, it's lovely, I love the Burren, you know, it's a beautiful spot, you know, it's a beautiful part of the Irish countryside, it is, yeah. So lots of stone walls then, and the reason for so many walls is because of the fact that in the old days here, the generations of families, they literally had to make land, distant land on these islands to survive on the Aran Islands. You know, you're dependent on what you could produce of the land.
Yes.
You know, they had to be self-sufficient. You know, I mean, it's very different today now. It's tourism, of course, is the main industry. The whole island economy will revolve around tourism, but you know, they didn't have that in the old days, of course, so life essentially was about survival, you know, so they produced all their own food here, the way of grain crops like wheat and oats and rye and barley and potatoes, of course, as well, you know.
Do you ever get sick of the tourists, or do they annoy you or anything, you know?
No, I mean, tourism is hugely important. I mean, we're very lucky on this island, actually, that we have a population of 260 people.
Yeah.
And about a quarter of the island population actually would be children of school-going age, so we have a lot of young families. There's a young population on the island, young families, young children. There's a lot of babies on the island, you know. So we're very lucky. I mean, that's, you know, you have a very vibrant community then, you know. I mean, that's all because of the tourist industry, you know what I mean? If we didn't have a tourist industry,
you wouldn't be able to put as much money into things.
They wouldn't be here. You know, those young people, the young family, you couldn't stay here. You know, I mean, it'd be just the older generation, like some of the other islands. The older people will hold on to the bitter end, of course, you know. But you've
got
young
your
people,
Dursey Island. There's only 6 people, I think, living in Dursey.
Yeah, that's about it. You're right. Yeah, that'd be about it. Yeah. So I mean, you know, tourism sort of maintains the population here, you see, because it brings employment opportunities. It's that simple, you know what I mean, if you didn't have it. I mean, say, you know, we have about 15 teachers employed in our 2 schools. Well, if you know, say 3 schools if you count in the preschool as well.
Yeah.
You know, so you know they wouldn't be here. You know, I mean, probably would you have a school at all? Say, you know, open, you know, on an island. Say it's a primary school and secondary school. You know, if you know, tourism, you know, if you didn't have a tourist industry, because just people have to have a means of income, and tourism provides that, you know.
Yeah.
So no, but we don't. The more people who visit the island, the better, you know.
Because I know some of the towns would get a bit fed up seeing all the traffic and all these over here where there's not cars. I suppose that's a good thing too.
Yeah, well, you know, I suppose to be truthful about it, you say by October, it'll end in October, the tourist season, you know, so the boats, the ferries out of Doolin.
So you have your quiet time where you aren't tortured.
Exactly, from October through until March, April is the off season, say, you know. So I mean, it's nice like that because say from October, then you kind of once you stop and tourist season, then you kind of look forward to Christmas then, and then when Christmas is out of the way, next thing you know, kind of spring is around the corner, you kind of getting geared up to be good to go again, you know. So it's nice to have the break, certainly, you know. And I'm saying any kind of, you know, tourist destination will tell you that, you know, that it's nice to have a break. But you know, tourism is hugely important, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I suppose it'd be cold winters then, aye.
It can be bleak, you know, with gales and storms. We do, and last winter was pretty cold because you had that very harsh winter on the mainland. Yeah. You know, you had heavy snow.
Especially the Atlantic Ocean around you.
Yeah. Well, normally actually it keeps the temperature pretty mild.
Oh, really?
It'll be colder, of course, you know, but it won't be freezing conditions here.
Oh, okay.
You know, unless you get a northerly wind. When you get a northerly wind,
I suppose you have the silt from the sea as well, stopping the ice and cold,
yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Hey, look what's over there, Cody.
Go on, girl.
It's the shipwreck.
So just here, this is your typical island landscape. Here's what you have on 2/3 of the island surface.
Okay.
You know, so this is why you have so many walls in the place. You know, they just remove the stone of this piece of, like.
I did allow the land to grow then, yeah.
And then, well, they put sand and seaweed over the top of it to make soil. You know. Yeah.
Look, there's a horse.
Yeah, the shipwreck then it happened in 1960.
Oh, wasn't that long ago then?
No, it's not ancient history. No, it's not. No. So it's the Passy, it was a cargo vessel, so it was making its way into Galway, but just got caught up in a storm and foul weather and ended up getting stuck on a reef offshore. You can see where the navigation marker is, the buoy is just offshore here. So the buoy marks a reef that runs sort of parallel with the island, runs north-south, you know. So the ship just got too close to the island in the storm and ended up on top of the reef. So you can imagine when that happened, would have been in an emergency situation. You know, the islandmen then had to rescue the crew. You know, they thought the crew of the ship lost their lifeboat when they went to launch it in the storm, so it got away from them. You know, so if it hadn't been for the islandmen who rescued them, you know, the crew, you know, they had plans to try and swim ashore. You know, that was their only alternative, I suppose. You know, they thought the ship was going to keel over. You know, but. So certainly the islanders did well. There was a crew of 15 men involved in the rescue. They were trained, you know, in rescue, you know, but it was the first time they'd ever actually carried out a live rescue. They had sort of done training exercises previous to that. But then it gives you an idea how the weather can be like, you know, when you see the ship ended up, you know. Yeah, and you can, the lighthouse then is right in front of us, you know, so it was built here by the British back in the 1850s. It's not manned anymore, of course, none of them are now, so they're all automated. This one has been automated since the 1970s, late 1970s. Yeah, so you know, the storms here then, you know, you can be pretty...
Can be pretty nasty.
They can be nasty, yeah. Like the islands are like a natural breakwater across the mouth of Galway Bay, you know, so we get the worst of it every day. We get hit first before it hits the mainland, see, on this part of the coast.
So in a way you can nearly warn them if it's going to be a bad one.
Yeah. Well, I reckon, I mean, that, you know, you have sort of coastal villages and towns along the Galway and Clare there that they that they would, they couldn't live on the coast if it wasn't for the Aran Islands. The seas up there would be too wild, so it breaks up a lot of the swell, of course, and disperses it, and then the high seas that come in up the Atlantic, when it reaches us. So there's, even though it can be pretty mean on the mainland times when you get a big storm, but I suppose it'd be much worse if the Aran Islands weren't here to break it up,
Aye.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anybody appreciates that for that.
Aye, you'd wonder if they
think about it at all, but I think it's true, You can see this road up ahead of us was damaged in a storm 4 years ago. The sea literally pushed all the rock in, knocked all the walls. And this road we've been on was in the same state. So Galway County Council then had to be over here to repair it, so they prioritised this section to get it fixed and opened up again. But never got anything done to this yet,
Aye. Hey Cody, all that rock used to be a road.
Yep. In that storm 4 years ago, any road, say, way close to the shore was destroyed. Out here, and then out on the west end of the island, there was several miles of road kind of just washed away as well. Yeah,
Aye.
Huge amount of repair work needed to be done.
That's a different lighthouse.
No, the same one.
No, it's a different lighthouse. You're on an island now. You had to get on a boat to go here. It's the same colours though.
The animals are always outdoors, yeah. They are actually. That's the way it's always been on the Aran Islands, traditionally. So the livestock are never housed. They're always on the land, so you won't see any stables or barns or sheds or housing for livestock on the landscape here. No, that's the way it's always been. But in behind these very high walls, the livestock will have all the shelter they need, so they're protected from the winds, we don't get very, very cold weather.
But no snow.
Very rarely. We did have some last winter, but it was a very harsh winter on the mainland.
It was a ridiculous winter last year.
Yeah, there was very heavy snowfalls on the mainland, and severe freezing conditions, hard frost in places. Well, some of that, hard weather then would have reached us on the island as well. But normally our climate over here is very, very mild. We get just gales and storms, but the prevailing winds here will be southwesterly winds and westerly winds right off the ocean. So the sea temperature here is going to be pretty mild kind of all year round, and the sea never freezes here, of course, obviously, So the winds off the ocean, they will keep the temperatures pretty mild, A goat.
Yeah.
A goat.
Sheep, of course, but not goat.
Yeah, there's some goats on the island. Yeah, there are some goats on the island. You don't see them all the time. There's a small herd of feral goats, and it's a while actually since I saw them last. They usually kind of stay out on the remote part, out on the west end of the island, people's way. But you're right. There's very few sheep on the island anymore. There would have been a lot of sheep here in the old days. The sheep actually were the very important livestock because they provided the wool as well as the meat, of course. That made their own clothes on these islands in the old days.
The goats for this reason.
If they were allowed roam free, they certainly would. Yeah. But in the old days here, certainly, goats would have roamed free. There would have been a lot more goats on the island, and donkeys as well. Donkeys would have roamed free. So all of this growth that you have on the sides of the road would have been eaten down. Now it just wouldn't be feasible anymore to have donkeys. There's very few donkeys on the island anymore, actually. In fact, anyway, Yeah, keep them clean. Yeah. But you just can't. With all the visitors coming to the island now, obviously you can't have livestock kind of roaming on the roads as well, which is to be safe, obviously.
I like some of the bendy roads where every so often there's a sheep in the middle of your road.
It'd be lovely. If there were. I'd like if it was like that, safe. There was.
The race of the brown cows.
Yeah.
What's the name of the race of the brown?
Well, you have there's Angus, and Shirley.
Really?
Shirley, Shirley, yeah. And then there's Limousine as well, and Angus is a good breed, and a Scottish breed, of course, but good, very suited to this Irish climate too,
Oh, why they love their hills.
Yeah. Hunger. Notice the height of the walls. So the reason for building the walls up so high, of course, was to provide a windbreak and shelter for the important crops. They're an awful lot higher than you'd imagine. They need to be just to keep the livestock inside. but that was the purpose of it, to provide a windbreak and shelter.
It seems so obvious, but you don't think of it until you're told,
Yeah, and then, it would have been impossible. Sometimes people wonder at that, bloody hell, they certainly went to an awful lot of trouble in the old days to build these walls.
Because it'd be twice the height than normally would be, isn't that right?
Yeah, but it would have been necessary. I mean, there wouldn't have been, using up energy and wasting effort unless it wasn't necessary, So, I mean, it would have been impossible to grow anything on the island, say, without the walls. It would have been just too exposed, too windswept, And then, by building up a very high wall like this around a small little space, you're able to create like a microclimate within each space.
You can feel it; they're warmer.
It's warm, exactly. Yeah. You're keeping the ground dry and warm. You're keeping the wind up, of course, but you're trapping the sun's heat as well. So would have given the all-important grain crops then sort of optimum conditions to grow well. So that was another consideration. So they were aware of all of this stuff in the old days. They were very, very finely tuned to their environment. Come on, girl. Up.
How many inhabitants
the Inisheer Island, the one in the middle, the one nearest to us, is a bigger island than this, but they're down to almost about half our population at about 160 people. Yeah. So they have a lot of struggles going on. They won't have anywhere near as many, young people, say, in their population as we have. We have a lot of young people on this island, But Inisheer Island then is the most densely populated of all of the Irish islands, So there's about 900 people live on Inisheer, the biggest of the 3 Aran islands, So that's the biggest population on any Irish island now, as it is at the moment, But all of the islands would have had bigger populations in the old days. I mean, this island, Inisheer, had a population of 600 people on it 100 years ago. So the population was in decline then steadily up till recently, actually. So the population of this island was at about maybe 215, 220 people, maybe 20 years ago. But it's climbing back up now, and it's stable at around 260. So it's a lot of young families. Some young islanders who married in recent years. When they started a family, they've decided to move back here, rear their children here. They prefer to be able to do that if they can. Tourism, then the industry sort of provides that opportunity. Not everybody can come back, of course, and live here. And when the kids leave, of course, they'll all of the island kids will go on to third level education when they finish their secondary school here. And of course, not all of them can be employed on the island here. Obviously, you won't have jobs or professions for them all, of course. We don't have a hospital, but we do have a primary care health centre, and then. So we have a doctor and nurse resident on the island. But if somebody from the island here needs to get to hospital, say, and if you have a medical emergency, the doctor can call the helicopter over, the Air and Sea Rescue helicopter, so it can get over to the island here and airlift to Galway Hospital, about 30 miles away, within maybe about 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. We'll call out, so it's good service, good fast service, yeah.
I just thought we stopped.
Nice to work now.
Yeah.
It's well, but not all. Maybe some. There's a teacher training called. A lot of island kids actually will opt for the teaching profession. And then there's a teacher training college in Limerick. But a lot of them will go to university in Galway. It's closest college to us, of course. Some kids will go to Dublin, maybe, to colleges in Dublin as well. It depends on what they want to do. But I suppose a lot of them will go to Galway. Actually, it's been the trend now in recent years, that all of the island kids actually will go on to third level education. They will go to college and do something like college. So here, they will have had a good education. The numbers in our schools, of course, are going to be small. So the kids will get a lot of individual attention. It's almost like a one-on-one. It literally will be one-on-one, maybe. Literally in some cases, sometimes you might have one child in the class, or 2 or 3 children, 3 or 4 children in a class. So they can get that individual attenation. So they will have done well in school here.
Do they follow the normal curriculum then?
They will. Yeah, they certainly will. Yeah, they will. Yeah, we're okay in that regard. Yeah.
Because I know some places now, I can't think of any of name off top.
Yeah.
But there are some that would follow their own sort of curriculum, but then But then it's the same curriculum, so it's easy enough then for them to get into their higher education.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Yeah.
That's good.
And then the fact, of course, that the kids from the island here, obviously, and grades of Ferries in general, they will do their exams through the Irish language, of course. So that means that they pick up additional points, and they pick up bonus points.
Yeah.
For that. So that helps get their place in college as well, of course. But I'd say a lot of the kids actually will opt for teaching, and that's a wise move, because there will be opportunities for them to work here. Then say when teachers here retire or move on or whatever, vacancies arise, and
they've already went through it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, some of our services are subsidised, like our plane service is subsidised by the state. Our main island ferry, which sails all year round, our main passenger ferry sails up the Russell is subsidised by the state, and then our cargo delivery vessel is subsidised by the state. There were housing grants available for a time, not anymore now, to build houses on the island. So when you had that, so there have been incentives in the past, and still are some, but generally though it is probably more expensive to live on the island than it would be on the mainland. The cost of living over here, everything literally has to be shipped in from the mainland, of course. So that will add, additional kind of cost into everything. But it's not something we moan about too much. Sort of the benefits kind of living on the island, the upside is kind of outweigh that, I think, anyway. I get moan about at times, stuff.
Like everybody likes a good moan. You can't get through your life without moaning.
You have to moan sometimes.
Do you want to put on?
I will moan about the weather, maybe.